All right, well, we got a tricky little shot right here. You can look at this in a couple ways. Hunting scenario, obviously you got your rangefinder. Hopefully you got a rangefinder with angle compensation so that you can know what the distance is. If this were a 3D situation, obviously you've got to judge the target, and uphills, downhills, they can be tough for judging the target, but you kind of want to imagine yourself just like what I talked about in other tips where I've talked about angles and the fact that you really want to know the distance in a perfect horizontal plane to where you're going to be shooting to. So what I try to do on an uphill situation like this is it's easier for me if I'm guessing the distance to try to guess what is exactly about halfway. If I can guess that and then double that number, it's much easier than me trying to figure out what the full distance is. Now if you're on a 3D course, you got a lot of different things that can help, you know, looking at other people's arrow holes, for example. If a lot of holes are low, obviously you know it's pushing max distance, but in this situation, about halfway up that hill, or really right where those rocks are in there, those lighter colored rocks are really the halfway point. So just standing here, honestly, I'm looking at some shallower rocks. To me, those shallower rocks just beyond this first set of pine trees is what I would refer to as my 20-yard mark. Pretty simple. Then those moss colored rocks are probably 4 to 5 yards past that. So realistically, I'm guessing my halfway point is probably about 24 yards. And looking at the target, I know it's probably about a 50-yard shot too. I would personally, if it were an animal, I would rather be on the low side than the high side. I'd rather be below center because you still have vitals all the way down pretty much to the bottom. Otherwise, if you shoot it high, anything above that halfway point isn't going to be good. So I'm just going to get a range here. It's 47.5 yards. So really I'm just going to hold my 50-yard pin right underneath that dot and should be making a perfect shot. Uphill shots are a little tricky because this really, you have to develop strength in that front shoulder in order to hold up that way, but also bending at your waist, you've got more strength torsionally than you do on your smaller deltoids and your stability muscles. So being able to draw back, level, and then slightly bend and just use your shoulder muscles for the fine aiming, that's much better than using arm the entire way. So let's go ahead and make this shot. Money right in there, dead center on the knock. I made 2 shots, one for the shot of the week and then another one for slow motion effects. There they are. That's a heck of a rip. But I'll tell you, a great tip for you is field archery. Field archery has really taught me everything I need to know about being accurate as a bow hunter. This shot, angles like this, 53-yard shot with a cut of 5 yards to where I'm shooting it for about 47.5, 48 yards. Able to know exactly where I need to hold. Practicing field archery with your fixed pins and your bow hunting setup, you know, I made 1 shot with my quiver, 1 shot without, just to check. And also I'm using my pins. I'm not using my single scope, single pin. So I'm able to know, okay, if I hold right at the bottom edge of that dot with my 50-yard pin, I knew it was 47.5 yards, 48. So it's nice for me to know that my pin or my arrow climbs about 3 inches, so an inch per yard at that distance. You just start to learn so much critical information like that. Super, super, super important. And man, 2 perfect shots. I wish this old targeted Dusty's was about a 8-foot black bear, or a 200-inch muley, or 50-inch moose, or a 400-inch bull, or a stone sheep, or a mountain goat. What else do you have up here? Caribou? Get that caribou in there. But no, it's just an old dead zombie with a knock-on sticker. But making use of midday lull by making a bunch of noise shooting arrows into things. It's perfect. Oh, that's awesome. What a great shot. It's nice when you're shooting tight enough to where your 2 arrows make 1 logo all the way into the good stuff. It's pretty awesome right there. 2 different color nocks, 1 awesome arrow. Sweet, there's my setup too, people. Right there. That's my setup. Beautiful, beautiful thing. Deadly accurate too.